when I was touring in like the 90s, 2000s, I might have had like 6 pedals on a board. And I was like a wild man back then. They're like, whoa, look at that. And like now, it's like, if you have like less than 12 pedals, you're some kind of like rugged man of the wild, you know, like you're daring to let people hear your clean tone. Here's how shitty our places is to pick up the radio. Is that Taylor? No, it's someone who sounded like someone's trying to sound like Taylor. First pedals ever were like a Ross Phaser, which I still love. Old Shaler Trems. First drive pedal that I depended on was a Rat, Proco Rat, big box. The other one that was big and very influential to me was the original Sansamp, the original Tech 21 Classic. The one with the 8 dip switches and the 3 on the side. I think I bought it because I heard Kurt Cobain use it on In Utero, and I just loved how his rhythm guitar sounded on In Utero. So, played in bands from like 1995 to 2005. Toured with Mudcat Jones, Recovery, and then at the end I was the 4th different guitar player for Fighting Gravity. Also, there's Wish You Were Gone and a couple other acts in DC I played with. I got into this, I graduated from business school in 2009, and it was the financial, like big recession, collapse, everything was bad. And so I just wanted some funkware, just proof that we could develop a product, do it. In 2010 we started working on a prototype. I said, I'll sell these, at least it'll be proof that I have something.
In terms of like learning how to build, were you entirely just like trial and error, self-taught? Or
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I see early builds, like the first maybe 100 wave cannons that we made, and I like cringe. I'm like, that's so bad. It's so bad. Like, literally, if one comes in for repair, I'll frequently just desolder all the parts off of it and put it on the newer board and rebuild it. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, we got so many things wrong. The board size is wrong, the potentiometer size is wrong. I mean, it was bad. There were so many hilarious mistakes. When there is a boutique gear hall of fame, Analog Man Mike Pierre needs to have his jersey hung. Like, it's just that guy, just in terms of his standard of like quality of sound, the attention to detail, the care, but also in terms of the customer service, in terms of like being genuinely interested person in what became understood as boutique. I think Lindy Fralin was really influential. I had a just awesome experience with Fralin, and I was like, that's what I would want to do for our customers if we can, when and if we can. I mean, I'd had good relationships and friendly exchanges over the years with Robert Keeley and different people like that at the time. All those guys who I consider kind of first and second wave of boutique through the 90s to the early 2000s, when you're like, you know, the internet is what it isn't quite what it is now for it. So you're like, how on earth do I wire a power jack into a 1960s wah pedal? Because you don't know any better, and there's not collectors. And Robert Keeley sends over a drawing. You know, that's just like, you know, you could get to do that. You could email people like that and just get it back, and you still kind of can.
Yeah.
And Zachary Vex as well. Oh my gosh, like I love the stories of Z-Vex. I had almost identical experiences to what Z-Vex has described in the past as like just getting fuzz factories out there where, you know, people find out about it. This is our stupid fuzz. I would have never dialed it up like that. I kept hinting that we were making a Dumble style pedal. And I kept writing this Dumble-style verbiage of, fragile harmonics that can only live within the vacuum tubes of the crystal lattice, and just nonsense, like talking about how bespoke our product was going to be and artisanal. And we just kept doing it. And I was like, this is going to be such a hilarious joke. And I was doing it to raise money for my friends at Girls Rock Columbia. And I was like, okay, we'll do a limited run of this. We'll hit and go, and we get to do this. And we did it. And I think there was always a little bit of a plan to eventually release some of these to retailers, but they were like, when are we getting our Hawaiian pizza?
Yeah.
That pedal? You want that pedal? We were at NAMM, there were like these Brazilian guys who came by. They're like, we want to play Hawaiian pizza. Grab the strats and they dial it up in a way. I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? And it sounded so good. And I was like, in a million years, and I'm the designer of this thing. I don't think I would have turned the knobs the way they did and got the sound they did. I think the first lo-fi pedal, the pedal that we call lo-fi, is the Kilobyte. And Kilobyte is like the pedal I think that it's like changed things for us and made what we do sustainable. This is one of those things I think is like a slightly different definition of lo-fi than I think sometimes gets commonly used, because I don't think the parlance is really clearly set. I consider things like that low fidelity for several reasons. You have audio range bandwidth compromise, both in terms of amplitude and that the chip doesn't have a lot of headroom, and you have frequency compromising in terms of we limited the frequency range of stuff that was happening. We were distorting the repeats. I would try to make that chip cleaner that we were using, and I realized I couldn't. There's the data sheet isn't lying. It picks up noise. There's nothing you can do about that. So I realized instead of fighting that, I leaned into it, and I was like, okay, well, we're going to distort the repeats and make them even worse. Megabyte is us giving the people what they want. We've had people ever since the first round of Kilobytes ask us for tap tempo versions of that pedal. I was not comfortable doing it because of certain constraints with the chip and constraints as to what you could do with tap tempo at the time we released the pedal. I personally almost never used a tap tempo delay in any of the years I played or any shows I played, whatever. It was not that important for me to tap tempo. But this isn't all about me. It's about our customer. I had customers who confronted me at different shows. I call it a confrontation, but it wasn't argumentative, but they wanted to let me know. They'd say something on tap tempo delay. I'd say something, well, why do you need it? What does it matter? Or what if we do a tap tempo? There's a different kind of thing. And they were very blunt. They've said, we want Kilobyte with tap tempo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, let's see about a way to make this work. So we extended the delay time to keep the noise floors down. We've added more time. We've added tap and divisions and kept a slightly different kind of modulation. And that's the goal, is to get that out this year. Somersault is a modulator that I was working on for a long time. I couldn't quite get it exactly where I wanted. And then we changed direction and did the tremolo instead, which is parabola. And I'm pretty pumped about what Somersault does. It does some things that are really surprising to me, really cool. The core of it is generally a coarse vibrato idea. I'm loving this right about now. That might be, candidly, this one might be the one I might be most proud of after we release it.
Really?
Because I busted ass on this thing. Like I just busted ass. I wasted months on it in 2017, and then this time, I knocked this out in like a month. And it's literally, I mean, like coming to it every day, doing a little something, coming to it every day, doing. Like I never sat there for like 10 hours, just like, I'm going to. I was like, I need my ears fresh every day.
Right.
And to be excited every day. Like some days I only spent like 10 minutes with it. Like, let's debate this capacitor in a feedback loop, or let's debate this, or, you know, let's play with the filters on the delay chip, you know? Like that would be it. Like sometimes just swapping a few values out, like, how do I feel about this? Well, I'll go home and tomorrow I'll see how I feel, you know? But that was it. And then it was really straightforward. So I feel really, really good about it.
Yes.
The biggest way to be proved that you don't know what on earth you're talking about is to insist you know everything there is to know, and that you know it all. I learned a ton from working with Jack DeVille when we were finalizing stuff on Kilobyte. John Cusack has been great to work with. I've really enjoyed working with this young guy, John Snyder, at Electronic Audio Experiments. Just a great dude. Great dude. Killer builder. Good engineer, and just like really humble, and just a pleasure to bounce ideas off with. He's someone who doesn't get butthurt if he suggests something and you breadboard it and you don't like it. You know, and they're like, no, let's go back to this square and go. And I mean, that's been kind of a real pleasure to interact with. And I think he's going to have a lot of stuff to do. I think he's going to, you know, as he builds up his own brand, as he does other stuff with other people, the sky's the limit for that dude. So for me, the only thing that really matters is stuff that's like, that sounds so good you want to keep playing, you want to keep writing, you want to keep going. Like that's it. I think if there's a philosophy that I keep coming back to, is the difference between the theoretical world and the real world. The theoretical world is what I consider a frictionless plane, where everything works exactly as you might breadboard it out, or exactly as you might imagine it on a mix. Or in classical economics, it's where all the supply and demand curves and everything does exactly what they drew up on a chalkboard, right? And in the real world, we find those things don't happen as is. Oh, guess what? We have to deal with friction. We have to deal with real sources of friction, imperfect information. We have consumers who are not Vulcans. They are not just logically choosing things that they're not choosing an ideological thing at various times, right? We have, in the real world, we have things like noise, we have shielding issues, we have grounding issues, we have capacitance created by multiple layers, we have guitar players with sometimes using thick coily chords, and sometimes they're using thin George alkaloids. They're using all kinds of different setups. Sometimes they're single coil, sometimes they're humbuckers, sometimes they're Filtertron, sometimes they're using those weird gold foil pickups that mess everything up. Sometimes they're using solid state amps, sometimes they're using tube amps, sometimes they're going direct interface, sometimes they're using emulators. You have to adapt to the world as it is, and not as the world as you might want it to be, but you can also push it towards the world you want it to be. And I think that's a very interesting challenge for me, is navigating that theoretical world of how everything would work on the frictionless plane, and the real world, and how to create like real excitement in this real world that we're in, for playing music. I mean, I look at the sales charts and I wonder to myself, like, how difficult it must be to be a musician now, because I looked at the total sales, total revenue of the music business, adjusted for inflation, is about 40% of where it was when I was a touring musician. 40%. And I'm like, man, if that's how it is, who's in this for the money anymore? You know? Like, people are doing this because they love it. They still love the sound of like bands starting on the one and landing changes together, and step on that pedal and all of a sudden you are like a rocket ship. Boom. So if we can't do that for them, if we can't do stuff that makes people love the way they sound, fired up to be able to do this, we gotta go. Like, there ain't gonna be room. So we love the sounds that we get to make and that we allow people to make with these tools.